Hi, this is David. I'm laughing about a comment that I just got. And really, the Mormon comments have stopped. I don't know if they all died or if there was a letter that came out and said, don't look at David's videos. I don't know. I got an interesting letter today from a man who watched my video. Don't let this happen to you. Look what the Mormon church did to me. And he wrote to me and he said, I don't have time to look at your long videos. Just tell me quickly, in a nutshell, what happened to you. That's kind of like the life of Jesus in 2 sentences. So I had to laugh and I had to do a video, especially to you young people. They're 20, 25, 30 years younger than I am. If you want any advice from an old man, here it is. Time is a very interesting thing. Now here's a man that was interested, but not interested enough to take a look at the pieces of what made me make that video. Now, I was young once, and I know you don't have time. God, kids are crying, diapers are flying, you're trying to fix a meal, you got to go to work at 7:30, and it's 7:29, and the damn car won't start, and geez, there's just, especially as a Mormon, you don't have time to do anything except breathe and go to the bathroom, and that's about it. Now let me give myself, and I've learned this, and so I'm trying to pass it on to someone that's 20, 30, 40 years younger, because I don't want you to feel the way I feel when you get to be 64, 65 years old. Certainly when you're young and you've got all those family responsibilities, your time is precious. Most of my demographics are over 35, and my most demographics are 45 to 50. And so those people have a little bit more time because their damn kids have grown up. Now, let me say this. Would you go up to a person and say, I don't have time for sex. Can you just give it to me in a nutshell what it feels like? Somehow we all found time, and that priority list of diapers and kids, we found time. Have you ever had a person come up to you and go, you know, could you just tell me in 2 sentences what it's like to eat? I've never had a bite of food. No! We prioritize, and certainly when we're young, the priorities are so demanding. A crying baby, you men know this, and so do you women. If you're trying to have sex with your wife, or anyone else, I don't know, maybe it's just your wife, I don't know, because homie ain't been there. So if you have a new baby, and it's over upstairs or across the room or in its own bedroom, and you're having sex with your partner, your partner isn't having sex anymore. They're just laying there like a log trying to get out to get to the baby. Give it up. I'm telling you, as an old man, roll over and give it up. The baby comes first. Now, some of that is nurturing, and some of that certainly is the instinct of women to protect their children. Your penis comes second, fully, or third, or fourth, as they get older. 5th, 6th, pretty soon, your penis is homeless. It has no place to go, no place to sleep. Well, I'm just telling you, young people, I know I've been there with these priorities. Damn, I wish I'd spent more time checking my former wives out. I wish that I had taken more time to read and study and use the left side of my brain for people that I married. I thought if you were a mental patient, you were made for me because my self-esteem was so low. My self-esteem was so, as my self-esteem grew, I thought, gee, I don't belong with mental patients. They belong with me. I'm the mental patient. 2 mental patients in the house ain't gonna fly. So young people, try to sit down sometime and try not to have the kids around you or the cars and the distractions of modern life. My God, my daughter is on her iPod. I think it grew into her hands. I don't know. I have to have it surgically removed. And her computer. And oh my God, my 9-year-old, she was sitting in the car the other day. I was going into Walmart and she says, Dad, I don't want to go in. she had her favorite rabbit, stuffed rabbit in her arms. She just turned 9. And she was sitting there, and she says, "Can I sit in the car and listen to the radio?" I said, "Sure, no problem." And so she was sitting there with her little rabbit in her arms, and she's listening to the oldies. And she goes, "Dad, I don't want to hear that. Can you put it on channel 12? It's the hip-hop channel. Here's the baby with a rabbit, and she's rocking to the hip." I go, "Geez, she's growing up. She's growing up." So I wish I had taken more time to think about life and to think, where the hell am I going to be if I keep doing this? And I wish I'd done this with employment. If I keep doing this for the rest of my life, where will I be like David, the old man? Where will I be in life? Well, now suddenly my life is good because I have enough money that comes in. I don't have to work. I don't have to think about it. I have, nice things, and it's a secure life. The money can't go away. Unless the United States of America collapses, and that's a possibility these days. But anyway, I'll be one of the last ones to go. So, take some time to sit under a tree. Take some time to sit by the ocean, or sit in your car like I love to sit in my car and listen to the Beach Boys. But you're not going to listen to the Beach Boys. They're all dead. Jeez. I used to be in California. I was raised in California, and I'd sit at the beach on Ventura and Santa Barbara, and just beautiful scenery out on the Santa Barbara Pier, and listen to the Beach Boys and think a little bit about life. And I'm fairly happy where I ended up in life. There were a lot of bumps, a lot of hard bumps. But please take some time to plan your life. In insurance, we used to have a saying that said, most people spend more time planning a vacation than they do their own life. A lot of truth to that. A lot of truth to that. And I have to admit, there's many periods of my life that I was like that. Decide who you are. Decide how good are you. Should you get good things in life? And then how are you going to contribute to life? That don't be a taker. That makes me sick, and that's prejudice. I'm sorry, it's prejudice, but I don't like people. Give me, give me, give me. I've had 2 or 3 wives that way. I gave one. One wife wanted a Mustang convertible. Okay, here's your Mustang convertible. Then I want a racehorse. Okay, I want a mansion. Okay, here's a mansion. And then I finally gave her, I think, what she really wanted, and that was a divorce. I'm out of here. Homie, don't play that. I was gone. I didn't give enough thought to where this girl had come from and where she was going. And her name was Sandra, if you want to look at my videos and find Sandra. So, yeah, it's important to maybe sit down with your mate. A lot of you, the Mormons just keep looking at my tapes, and I don't know why, and it's 85% female. And I don't know if they're just screwing with me or if they're really listening to the videos. I don't know. But I know this, when you plan your life out, yeah, your mate has something to do with it, but not everything. Now, let me tell you, in the Mormon church, he's the priesthood holder, he has the last word, and your baby can cry, just open your legs up and shut up. I don't need you liking this. Well, there's the kind of man you probably don't want to be married to. Anyway, you always catch me when I forget my trend of thought. I just find that, I remember, that you don't have to plan this with your mate. Now, the mate should have some kind of a influence in the formula, but not not critical, not 51%. I'm telling you, as an old man that's going to die, if I had to do life over again, I would make me happy 51% of the time, not somebody else. And I wouldn't sit down with my wife and say, well, what do you think, honey? Should we do this or do that? Because she'll say, I think you ought to give me a Mustang. I'd like a racehorse. I'd like a mansion. I'd like a baby. And before you know it, you're going, what the hell happened to my life? So here's what I'm suggesting, is that you plan that alone. Now, I know I have a very unusual marriage because I deserve it. I've worked hard, I've learned, and I've practiced. Practice makes perfect. Our family is extremely different than your family, and yet we're just all very happy because we've come together as individuals. Yes, we're in a marital relationship. Yes, we're in a father-daughter relationship. And yes, we live in the community. But let me tell you why it works for us, okay? My wife is from the Philippines. I married her and immigrated her to the United States. When she got here, she could hardly speak a word of English, and about drove me nuts. I mean, you know, I was kind of towards the line of, gee, have I made the right decision here? Well, she's got a full-time job now, and she's never missed a day. She gets raises. She has a 401k, and she has stock options, and she gets a bonus every 3 months, and she gets 2 weeks vacation every month. Most of you watching me are going to go, I don't have that. You're right. You don't. She's extremely lucky. Now, here's why her job works so well. It's not it's a full-time job, but it's different every day. Some days she goes in at 7, some days she goes in at 2, some days she has Mondays off, sometimes Saturdays, sometimes Wednesday, never 2 days in a row. But that works for her. Now, as a husband, man, I used to, when she first started working, what the hell? You're supposed to be home on Saturday and Sunday. That's when we go out. That's when we have family home evening. That's when our family's together. Well, that made a miserable 4 or 5 other marriages. I just go, hey, you're going to work? Go to work. And I try to, you know, help her get the kids out of the bathroom and make the beds and take the kids to school and give her her individual freedom and her rights. Now, being from a foreign country, she now speaks eloquent English. And she has 2 or 3 Filipino friends that speak her dialect out of the Philippines. She has a brand new car. Yeah, well, in fact, she has 2 new cars. And she can get in her car any time she wants and go visit her girlfriends. And I don't care if she stays overnight. I don't care if she stays 2 hours. I don't care if it's a barbecue or a picnic. I don't care if she takes 1 kid, 2 kids, no kids. She has her freedom to be happy. And that part of that is my job. It's just to go, well, I have to go watch a little TV or go upstairs and listen to my stereo or make another video. I let her be herself. I don't use that Mormon philosophy to squeeze the shit out of her, threaten her, intimidate her, and pound all of her talents, all of her skills, all of her hobbies out. Now, she goes to bed every night at 2 o'clock in the morning. I go to bed every night. I sleep all day anyway. You don't know. If I'm in bed, it means I'm out of my chair sleeping. And if I'm in the bed, I'm sleeping. If I'm in the chair, I'm sleeping. But anyway, I can sleep anytime I want, and I go to bed, probably 9 o'clock at night, because that's when the kids go to bed. She stays up till 2 o'clock every night. Well, I used to be like my father. You need to come to bed. You need to be next to me when I'm snoring and when I'm jumping around and when you're just looking at the ceiling. Bullshit. She's a night owl. Let the girl alone. Let her sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. And she gets up when she wants. I get up when I want. I'm a little limited because I have to take the kids to school at 8:30. So I do have to be up. But I can sleep anytime I want in my chair. My kids are quiet. They go play. Their dad's sleeping. He's old. He may be dying. Don't bother him when he's dying. She lets me sleep. Now, she, of course, came to our country with a certain amount of cuisine, if you want to call it that. Dead fish, grasshoppers. I don't want to go any further. She likes her food. I let her cook it all the time. I let her go to the Philippine store and buy specialty items that help Filipinos eat their food. One is a clothespin. I bought that myself for me. But you know, the kids are American kids, and they'll eat hamburgers and, oh God, oh, you know, wherever you want to go, buffets. And my wife, Mercy, she will cook Filipino food, and my kids remember the Philippines a little bit. And they'll eat that stuff, and I don't eat it. Well, before or after she cooks, then she goes in the kitchen, and she makes me mashed potatoes, gravy, meat, vegetables, buttered bread, and a big ice milk. She lets me be me. I let her be her. She sleeps when she wants. I sleep when I want. I eat what I want. She eats what she wants. The kids eat anything they want because they came from a poor background. I let my kids open the refrigerator anytime they want and eat anytime because they came to this country with tremendous fear that they would always be looking for food. And in our house, thank God, they don't have to. Now, we don't sit down as a family to eat because everybody has a different schedule. My kids are picking this up. They're picking it up. My 13-year-old goes to bed at about 7 o'clock in the evening. That's when my 13-year-old goes to bed. My 9-year-old goes at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And My 13-year-old gets up at 4:30, gets her shower, and gets ready for school, makes her own breakfast. She has her own life. She has her own music. She has her own iPod. She dances. She goes to her hip-hop dancing. We get over there and watch her. The little one goes to karate. That's her interest. We go over there and watch. We're not soccer mom and dad parents. If I want to stop and get, and this is a little emotional to me because I was so damn poor raising my own children, well, I mean my former children. If I wanted to get a sandwich at, Arby's, or if I wanted to stop and get a Coke over at 7-Eleven, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money in those days. I was going to the Mormon church. Now I can do that anytime I want. The baby, she'll say to me many times, Dad, can we go to 7-Eleven? I have $1. I pay the kids to do work around the house, and a lot of it's construction work. My 13-year-old does drywall, unbelievable. She can cut a piece of drywall, snap it, and get it up. You can't believe it. My little one, electric saws. And she can cut up molding, and she can do nails. She hung the nail up here to hang my glasses, because Dad loses his glasses. He sits on them, and I don't know where things are. So my little one does we're doing a little construction upstairs, and she does all that. She loves it, and she's good at it. She's good at it. So this family is a very different family. We come and we go. We're friends, we're lovers, and we're parents. I got a phone call. I got my first phone call on my 13-year-old yesterday, and this lady said, is this David? And I said, yes, it is. She, well, I have some things to tell you. Well, when I hear that tone of voice, I hear the Mormon church, but I'm polite because I'm atheist. I'm not a Mormon, so I don't treat people like shit. I try to be courteous, and I try to be part of the community. It's taken me a long time to learn that, because when I was a Mormon, I go, fuck you. Oh, there goes. YouTube, I'm sorry. Screw you. I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to say that word, and they're going to cut that word right out of there. Hope they don't cut the whole video. So I do apologize. I get animated sometimes. So this lady says to me, well, your daughter called my daughter a bitch. Now, I have to be careful because the rest of you are not bipolar. I almost said, well, is she? But I didn't. I wanted to be an adult, and I wanted to be a responsible parent in the community. So I said, well, is that all the story? Is there anything else? And says, my daughter said that your daughter kicked her. And she said, well, my daughter kicked her when she called her a bitch. And I said, well, my daughter said that, your daughter kicked her first, and then she called your daughter a bitch. Well, you're LDS, aren't you? I said, hell no. And we're grateful for it. I guess she was going to call my bishop. Says, well, anyway, we all know that the F word is not to be used in public, and your daughter's going around saying to people, it's okay. Now, 13-year-old boys and girls push the envelope. They're growing up. They don't know what's right and what's wrong. That's like a cigarette. If you take a cigarette, you're grown up. Well, you take a cigarette, you also get lung cancer. So there's boundaries. And so I said to this nice Filipino lady who was a Mormon, I said, listen, I'll talk to my daughter about being appropriate in public. If your child is offended, I can understand that, and maybe they don't need to play together. I'm not going to endorse my daughter using profound language, but I said, here's what's going on. My daughter is in theater, and she has a presentation in the next couple of days, and the word hell is in the presentation. Now, my daughter's never swore a day in her life, and she asked the teacher, she said to the theater lady, do I say hell or do I say heck? And the theater lady was a real theater person and said, well, if that's what's in the script, you decide for yourself. So my daughter did her presentation yesterday, and I asked her, did you say hell or heck? I said hell. I said, good for you. Damn, that's good. Oh, what a bad dad. No garments. What a bad dad. So I told the Filipino lady, I said, listen, I'll talk to my daughter. And I did. I talked to Abigail extensively. I said that there's certain people you don't swear around. There's other people that girls, they can talk among themselves, and they do. But girls usually don't use the F word most of the time. And I said, Abigail, if you talk like that, only trashy people are going to want to hang around you. And she says, well, that girl is too sensitive. I said, well, she's LDS. I said, you're a year or two ahead of her in maturity, and she's never heard a swear word. Living in this house with this dad, you've heard every swear word. So my daughter was experimenting and pushing the envelope. What can I say as a girl? What can't I say? What are the circumstances? And then she came down to talk to me because me and her and the other one are pretty close, and their mother's Filipino. They just pinch them, grab their ear, slap the brown right off of them. And so she said to me, Dad, she said, Mom's going to be pissed. Oh, Mom is going to be upset. But she can say to me, Dad, Mom's going to be pissed, because I understand that word from my construction days. And I said, well, honey, I said, your mom's come a long ways since she's come to this country, and don't be surprised that your response with her is going to be different than you think. Well, my little girl was just shaking. The Filipino mom was going to get her. I said, nah. So I went in and introduced the problem, and the mom took over, and the two girls were just laughing their face off because the mom said, I know that person. She comes through, and I see her in public, and I don't like her. I'm going to kick her ass. In front of my 13-year-old, and the both of them are just laughing their face off. So we try to be appropriate. We try to be humble and understanding and respectful. If Mormons don't want to hear ass, or they don't want to hear damn or hell or whatever, good. Lord, get away from my child. If my child speaks like that, she has to accept the consequences. She may have drug addicts and idiots around her if she uses too much swear words. But you know kids and how they talk and when they're private and whatever. So what I'm saying to you in summary is, please take the time to give other people time to live their life. If your wife wants to go skiing, stop the crap that she's going to find someone else. You know what I tell my wives? Every wife I've had, and I've divorced everyone. Not one has divorced me, because I run to the courthouse faster. No. If your wife or your husband is going to find somebody better than you, if you really love them, let them. Let them. If you're not the best, and you're trying to just control, you probably are a loser. I say to my wife will come in, I say, why are you late? She says, well, I was out with my boyfriend. I said, well, did you have a good time? She says, well, yeah, we didn't have enough time. I said, well, honey, take a little more time tomorrow. We kid about it all the time. And I say to my wife, you can get somebody, she's 23 years younger than I am. I was 23 when she was born. I say to her all the time, I said, you could probably find someone younger. And she says, I know I could, but they won't be as funny. So it's my humor that keeps her in this house. So I've got to continue to be funny even if I'm on my deathbed and tubes in my nose. And we laugh all the time. Or sometimes we're laughing before we ever get out of bed because I sleep naked and she peeks down there. No, that's not it. That's not it. And she's a returned missionary for the LDS Church. Here is an example, folks, that you're not going to see very often. I'm an atheist. I was a Mormon for 50 years, and that was the 50 worst years of my life. And my little wife went on a mission for the Mormon Church in the Philippines, and she's still LDS. She has not resigned from the church, and she will wear her garments in the daytime. Doesn't bother me a bit. At night, I ain't sleeping with Monson or Joseph. She doesn't. She throws them off. So, it's a compromise. And a good marriage is compromise. Now, ours is a little bit more out there than most of you are going to be able to do. We sleep when we want. We eat when we want. She said to me the other day, she said, I have a girlfriend that's moving into Oklahoma. Can I go visit her? And I said, of course. She says, well, how many miles is it? And I said, I don't know, 2,000. And she says, oh, okay. So if she wants to go to Oklahoma and drive by her, I don't care. Well, how does that hurt me? I got to stay home and babysit the kids, but I do that every day anyway. And she gets on the computer. Oh my God, my wife is on the computer at least 6 hours a day, and she's got friends in all over, Europe, Australia, the Philippines, everywhere. And she's always chatting, and she speaks 3 languages, so, I can hear in here that she's speaking, to someone over in the Philippines or someone somewhere else. And I just let her speak. And if you have an Asian in your life, you have 2 or 3 cameras in your life. They're always in their purse, and they take pictures of everything. Bugs, flowers, the moon. Asians take millions of pictures. Well, at first that bothered me. I go, what's the deal? And they also, now my wife doesn't do this, but other Filipinos do. They take pictures of food because they never had any food. And when you have a salad bowl or a fruit bowl, the Asians will go down and take a picture of it, and then they'll send it to their friends in the foreign country to make them jealous. Well, that's the way Asians are. So I taught my wife to drive. Now, I've taught all 12 of my kids to drive. And they're all good drivers. None of them had a serious accident. My son Adam had a serious accident. It was on another video. But when you go 90 miles an hour in a residential area and hit telephone poles, we call that an accident. Well, I had to teach my wife, when she first came here, how to drive. Now, the jokes about Asians learning to drive are true! I thought I was going to have open heart surgery just teaching this girl to drive. But again, this is the compromise. This is a real, to me, a real marriage. I didn't want to teach her, and we bought a nice car, a new car. And we went over to the parking lot at one of the malls, and I was in the passenger seat. And I said, honey, would you roll down my window? And she looks at all the buttons over there on her door, and so, I don't know how. I said, well, there's only 4 buttons there. Push each one of them's going to move this window. I was there like 10 or 12 minutes. Finally, I said, Mercy, I got to get out of the car because I'm probably going to slap the brown right off of you. So I got out and sat on the grass. 20 minutes later, I see my window going up and down. The girl had never seen power windows in her life, and it took her that long to figure it out. So I got back in the car. And I stay in the car, probably 15 minutes each road trip for an hour. And then I have to get out. Let me out. Let me out. She'd pull over. Sometimes she'd pull over. Sometimes she'd just stop in the middle of the lane, and I'd get out and sit on the grass. Go, what am I doing? Oh, God, this person will never learn to drive. Well, if you don't speak English, it's very hard to instruct a person to drive. So we were in the Walmart parking lot when we first started. And I was instructing her, and I thought I had the situation in hand. So we pulled out of Walmart, and she goes into the middle lane for turning left and right. And she rides in the middle lane. And I said, honey. And she says, David, what are all those lights on that car behind me? Jeez. So the police pull her over, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and she's tiny. She's only about maybe 5'1" and 97 pounds. And the policeman, big old policeman, a local policeman, comes up to the car and he says, ma'am, where are you from? She said, well, from the Philippines. He says, do they drive in the middle of the road in the Philippines? Now, that's a stupid question. I could see this cop had no idea of international driving regulations and procedures and policies. So I'm trying to help the girl, and I think I did this time. Most of the time, my help ain't welcome. And I said, well, sir, I said, she's learning to drive, and she is from the Philippines, and I lived there for over a year. And they drive in the center of the road. They drive over each other. They drive on each shoulder, and they mix bicycles on the freeway and pedestrians on the freeway. So this is unusual. He says, oh, all right. Well, tell her to get to the right and don't do that crap anymore. I said, yes, sir. So he let her go, and that was the right thing to do. And so we were driving the next day. So she knows that policeman. He knows her well. And so we're driving the next day, and we're coming right through our town, and I see the light go red. And I said, Mercy, stop, the light's red. She said, oh, we can make it. Now, see, in the Philippines, you don't stop for red lights, and you don't stop for stop signs. I had to learn that. I had to relearn to drive in the Philippines because I would just sit at an intersection and I couldn't go anywhere. Finally, I said, screw it, like the rest of the Filipinos. I went through red lights, through stop signs, and around the corners and out on the shoulder, and I did fine. I didn't have an accident. And most of them don't. I'm always surprised. So she goes through this red light, and I go, oh, honey, don't do that. She says, David, there's that person again with all those lights. I go, Jesus. So we pull over again. And this is the next state or the next city's policeman. And he said, ma'am, he says, you ran that red light. And I'm trying to help her out. And I'm saying, well, sir, she's learning to drive. And he says, oh, okay, well, just get a little more control of her because we can't have her going through red light. So he gave her a warning and goodbye. Now, she knows all these police. She knows about 4 or 5 policemen in our community. And it's funny that they'll go, hi, Mercy. Hi. So I take her out. God, this kills me. I take her out on the freeway, and we've got a nice car. We've got a brand new Hyundai. Black, my favorite color, with a sunroof. And I mean, it looks sharp. And she's coming off a road on an off-ramp, and I'm saying to her, slow down, slow down. Well, in Filipino, there's no word for slow down. And I'm yelling, slow down. And I don't have a brake or a wheel on my side of the car, and I pull the car into second. That slowed it down a little bit. And slow down, you're not going to make the curve. Well, I was a prophet. She didn't make the curve. She hit a truck that was parked, hit it sideways on its duals. Well, I've never had an airbag hit me in the face at 300 miles an hour. It's not pleasant. Bam! The dashboard comes apart. Her airbags all come out. My airbag comes out. And I think some of the back airbags came out and hit me in the head. God. It's demolished. So I'm on the passenger side, and I get out of the car. And I go to the front of the car to see what damage really was done. And she gets out of her side of the car. And her wrist was sprained a little bit. And she looks at it. And I said, well, Mercy is totaled. You just ruined $21,000 of a car. It's gone. And she looks at it and she goes, well, we could fix this in the Philippines. I said, honey, we don't have that much duct tape and Band-Aids and gum. So I was right. Our insurance company had to pay $21,000. Well, at that particular point, you would think I would give up on her, but I don't. I'm a pretty persistent person, and now she drives, and she has the 3-year safe driver discount. She did get a ticket for that improper left turn, a 90-degree turn at 45 miles an hour. The car was good, but it wasn't that good. So let me tell you just one quick thing here. I'm sitting in the passenger side with my door open. Oh, God, there's ambulances and there's fire engines and there's police cars. And this policeman comes up to me on my side of the car. And my door was open, and he bent over and he said, Mr. David, are you teaching this person to drive? And I said, well, yes, sir, I am. He says, boy, you're not very good, are you? Jeez, everyone's a comedian. My car is ruined. Insurance claims, and this little girl has got a sprained wrist, and she'll help me. Like, okay. So I'm getting back to the theme. Let your spouse be your spouse. The reason you were attracted to them is because of their independence and who they are. Now, if you're a Mormon guy and you just wanted a vagina, good Lord, anyone will do. Well, not me, but any girl will do. Okay, so if that's what you wanted, that's what you got. But if you're a serious male or female, you want more than a return missionary. You want more than a vagina. You really should want a good life. And a life of freedom. If you do arts and crafts or dancing or choreography or hiking or skiing or motor boat racing or whatever, let your spouse be the human being that you married. And adapt. And adapt. Don't get your emotions and your needs and your feelings out there first, and then they come second, because they're going to be second in the divorce. So, let me give a fair warning that if you want to be happy, take some time, study. If you want a real church, take some time and study. No one should be able to intimidate you. No one should be able to scare you. And if your wife says, well, you know, if you don't stay a Mormon, no more vagina for you, you're going to have to say, well, you know, you're not the only one that's wearing a vagina these days. Don't let anybody intimidate you. And I'll be fair, you know, go the other way. And if the wife says, if you hit me one more time or speak to me that way, I'm going to call the domestic violence people. You don't have to take crap. And you can enjoy the person that you marry, their honesty, their integrity, their sense of humor. We all get old, and we start to look like this. This is a sad, I'm looking into the camera. It's a sad, sad moments in my life. But, you know, all the old men look the same. Their pants fall off. And all the women look the same. They've got 18 layers of makeup on and red lipstick that looks like they came from a clown factory. We all end the same way. How we get there is what's important in life. So choose your religion. Be flexible. As new information comes in, you may want to shift and think differently, your value system. But for God's sakes, let your spouse be themselves, and you'll have a pretty successful relationship. Right now, I do, and I appreciate it. Thanks so much.